What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
And today we're back at it to answer more questions from you guys in another installment of For the Greater WAAAGH.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. Did you guys ever take music class? And if you did you ever feel weird as a kid that you could sing so high? And all the girls sang lower than you, and then your teacher decided to put you with the girls because your voice was so high, and the other kids made fun of you, and then you ended up peeing your pants in front of everybody? Comment down in the comment section below. This question comes from J-Day. What became of the Side Titan? That's a good question, and they're still around. It's just rare. Mm-hmm. They're almost like the Centurio Ordinatus. No, what is it called? Like those giant weapons of war that the Adeptus Mechanicus uses and only takes out every once in a while. They're like just giant cannons, like cannons the size of a skyscraper type of thing. But that's the same thing with the Side Titans. They're not produced anymore, and they're just the planets that do have them, or the Titan legions that do have them, venerate them and protect them a lot.
Yeah, I don't know why, but every time Side Titans get brought up, it always reminds me of the Jaegers from Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you need to have that psychic link or that mental link to thrive on using one of them. So.
Yeah.
But think of them, if you don't know what a Side Titan is, it's basically a Titan, but way more killy, way more destructive. Yeah, Side Titans they're great.
Yeah, like a Side Titan to regular Titans is what a Psyker is, or what a Librarian is to a regular Space Marine.
Yeah. So. Which is crazy that they had the means to produce something like that.
Yeah.
Now, on the off chance that Chaos is able to take control of one of these, then we're screwed.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with the Blackstone Fortresses. Mm-hmm. Initially, the Imperium had Blackstone Fortresses, but they weren't really doing much with them, and then Chaos was like, "Now, let me take over. Mm-hmm. Let me show you how to run this machine."
Yeah. And you're just like, okay, I guess I'm the cuck.
Yeah, I guess. That's what the Imperium said.
Yeah, word for word.
This question, actually, have we answered this one? No, I don't think so. So Puppy SB says, when are you going to do an episode on the Gloriana class ships of the Primark, such as Macragg's Honor and the Eternal Crusade? Actually, that's a good idea. I might do that soon.
Yeah. For me, I don't really like ships. Like when it comes to the whole naval battles and stuff, it's like, nah, I want to see boots on the floor, viscera flying with combat blades.
Yeah. It's also very boring to create a 40 facts video on ships, just because there's going to be one or two images, and the rest I kind of have to just... I'll show you images of different ships or random stuff. Mm-hmm. Whereas if I do create a lore video on an actual war, there's so much content. There's so much more
imagery.
Yeah,
videos,
that's
that
good.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
You say also, I'd be really curious about Perturabo's flagship's guns. I'd be really curious about Perturabo's flagship, considering he loves his engineering and big guns. P.S. A couple of weeks ago, you answered a question of mine on corrupted Black Templars, and I actually found a reading either from the Border Prince or Luton that has the story about Slaaneshi corrupted Captain Malachi of my Boys in Black. What did we say about Black Templars being corrupted?
Oh, we mentioned that it's probably easier for them because the whole pain glove thing and self-inflicting of wounds and stuff, and penitent crusades and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So a Slaaneshi worshipping Captain Malachi
gets pleasure from pain.
That's cool. Next question.
This one is by Joe Davidson. Do you think the Lost Legions are the reason for gene seed flaws in the Marines? as in they did something so horrible for power that they had to be expunged, and the result is gene seed flaws. Nah, I don't think so. Because gene seed comes from their progenitor Primark. So if you're saying gene seed flaws coming from these two legions would mean that the Primarchs from the 2nd and the 11th are the gene fathers for all the other legions, and that's not true.
Yeah. So time-wise, it doesn't really make sense. Those flaws existed from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. And if you're saying, oh, what if they tampered with the gene seed at the time? Well, then what does that mean for new recruits? Because their gene seed hasn't been tampered with. They also produce new gene seed with like gene seed factories and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure Belisarius Call would have something to say about that too.
This question comes from Andre Necci. In your opinion, what are the strangest alliances formed in Warhammer 40K, even lasted only space?
Strange. Like, it's always weird to me when like the Imperium allies with like a Xeno race, knowing how xenophobic they are. It's like, why would you trust them? You know they're just gonna stab you in the back. Why would you go ahead and recruit a freaking what are the orc freebooters? Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Like, you know they're not in it for like the long haul or to have a nice relationship with you.
Yeah. For me, it's the Blood Angels and the Necrons to fight the Tyranids.
That's the one that always comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, yeah, it's a Tyranid, so obviously you do want to join forces, but you always want to have one eye on each enemy.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They didn't expect the betrayal.
Next question comes from All Might. Can a Space Marine Scout become a Primaris, or do they have to be fully fledged and tried Marines first? So the Primaris transformation occurs during the initiation process. So a Scout, most chapters, a Scout has already ended his implantation. So they would be more considered Reavers.
Right. Unless you're like a named character, then you could also cross the Rubicon. Like, for example, Calgar. Obviously, he's already been a Space Marine. He's a freaking chapter master. And then he does the process to become Primaris. And they could do that. It's just highly unlikely that they'll survive.
Yeah.
But the power of plot saves them.
Yeah. This is a comment from Christian Norin. Do you guys happen to read a lot of novels related to 40K? There's honestly far too much for you to know all of it, but any references or quotes you could bring up from the expanded lore would really help for the Greater WAAAGH. I actually don't read the novels very much, no. I get most of my information from the Codex. The novels, they just have so much, I feel like, pointless information. Yeah. Like, I don't really need to know that Perturabo had a servant named, whatever, and was with him during whatever siege. Yeah. I mean, I want to, though.
Yeah, I've read a few, and they're pretty cool and whatnot, but, like, when you're trying to get the grander scope of things, it's like, yeah, it's better to, like, go into the Codex and look at the timelines, because that's what I enjoy the most, to see what lore has been changed or retconned, what's the new lore, what notable events did they fight in or had and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But still, though, some of these novels are really good.
Yeah.
Especially if they're romance novels.
50 Shades of Space Marines.
Warhammer 40K After Grimdark.
This question comes from Thomas Wilson. What would be the most valuable STC to find? A completed STC? So an STC was basically just a device that would...
A standard template construct, if you will.
Yeah, so what it just tells you how to build things. And then it says, okay, so this planet has this, this, and this. If you combine this stuff, you can get a Titan. You can get whatever. So if the Imperium were to find one that's complete, like with all of the... technologies of the Dark Age of technology, or like the devices of the Dark Age of technology, boom, that's the most valuable. Yeah, think of it almost like a mini library.
Yeah.
Next question.
This one's by Coda. What faction or race do you think has a reasonable chance of assassinating the Emperor if he wasn't bound to the throne? I don't know. I don't think anybody could really assassinate the Emperor like that, because doesn't he have like future sight or precognition or something along those lines?
Yeah.
So it'd kind of be the same thing as trying to assassinate the Conrad Kurz. I got it right. I didn't say Corvus Corax. Because I mean, dude knows like the future, but the assassin is the one that put him down because he allowed it.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be the same thing for Golden Boy Big E. He would have to allow an assassin to bring him down. I don't think he'd actually be brought down by one.
Yeah. Now, in the scenario that like he would for whatever reason, I feel like it's either going to be the Eldar or the Necrons that kill the Emperor, because like the Necrons have the ability. This happened on Mars. They materialized on Mars, completely bypassed all the defenses of the Sol system, did something, probably took a shard of the Void Dragon, and then they left. So the fact that they can do that, they could probably do it to the Emperor too. And then I say the Eldar just because the webway portal that Magnus destroyed, it's still there. The Emperor is holding it down, like sealing it.
PLP.
But the Dark Eldar could find a way to like utilize that to get into Terra, I feel. Yeah.
Watch it be a lowly grot sniper or something.
Yeah.
This one's by Nico. He asks, who do you think is better, Gascoigne or Blood Flag?
Gadskull, like hands down, he's the prophet of the WAAAGH. He started Armageddon, helped in the Octavius War, or the Octurian War, whatever they want to call it now.
And GW is officially calling him a beast. The Beast.
The Beast.
Yeah, so sorry, Blood Flag.
You weren't even that good. Next question.
This one is by Marge Aramil. If the overall objective of Necrons is preservation of life in galaxy, then why don't they simply ally with the Imperium, or at least Tau, to defeat Chaos and the Tyranids? Because that's not grim dark. You want to have conflict, war, battle, bloodshed, not no treaties and alliances. Those only happen to help the Imperium.
Yeah.
If it's a Primark, we'll ally with you. But after that, that's it. So yeah, I don't think any faction will ally long term, because people have been saying it for years. It makes the most sense for the Tau, the Eldar, and the Imperium to work together. And as much sense as it makes, that does not make for a fun, depressing, grimdark world or galaxy of 40K.
Yeah, agreed.
Another one by Marge Aramil. Catan versus Chaos Gods. But before, you said that Catans would lose. But remember that Cain killed the Nightbringer's necrodermis body, but couldn't harm his true form in any way. I would argue that neither can harm the other in any true way, but Catans would win in a physical world, and Chaos Gods in the warp, at least temporarily. You gotta remember that whenever a Catan fights against anything else, that is merely a small fraction of the Catan's true form. Catan were shattered back, and now there's different shards of them, of various powers, and when you combine two, it is said that the power is greater than the sum of their parts. So if you have a Catan that's a power 100, or a Catan shard that's a power 100, and another Catan shard that's a power 200, combining them together doesn't give you a Catan of power 300, it's more than that. So that just goes to show you that the strength of a Catan is crazy ridiculous. However, they do have that weakness of the warp. So no matter how strong something is, the weakness will always bring it down. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, unless you're fighting Kato Sicarius, he throws a freaking void grenade and sucks in the Catan. So,
which makes sense, right? Because it's a void thing.
It makes sense, but plot. Like you have a freaking shard of the Nightbringer that can literally destroy entire worlds, crush apart armies. But Kato Sicarius, with one good throw, can take them out.
Takes them out, yeah. This next question comes from Kota. If Alfarius was never split in two, do you think that he would be one of the strongest Primarchs? No, I don't think so, just because I think Alfarius, Omegon, what makes them powerful is that there is two.
Right.
And that they can hide and be sneaky amongst each other. Mm-hmm. They basically look like the rest of their legion.
Yeah.
So that's the key to their thing.
Right. You don't know who's who. Because even when Dorn was fighting against, I think it was Alfarius, turned out that it was actually
Omegon. Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, we don't know if that was actually them.
Right.
Ain't that a mind, like, fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Dima21 says, would it be possible that the Necrons didn't get all the Katans? And if so, could the Catan in question be the reason why the Necrons are being held back by memory problems and machine brain stuff? Yeah, that's the reason why they're in these metal bodies, because the Catan tricked them. The Deceiver pulled a fast one, pulled the rug under them, the wool over their eyes, and that's why they're in these metal bodies.
But I don't think there'd be a Catan left alive. I think it would have, like, shown itself.
Yeah.
Especially after it got, like, once the Catan, because the story of the Catan is that they were like regular star parasites. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as they got the taste for soul or the taste for, like, life, they would never go back to, like, their old ways. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say, like, maybe there's, like, a really, really old Catan that still is a parasite, but in that case, like, you can't even communicate with it.
Right.
It took the Necron tier so much to finally crack the code of how to communicate with these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It took a freaking war with the old ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's, and not just that, but in general, I don't think it's possible for the Necrons to hold and find every single shard of the fractured Catan. Because that just gives GW more fuel to create new ones or to have a new storyline with something like that. But it's pretty cool seeing, like, the Silent King riding on his throne being powered by the enslaved Catan.
Yeah. Next question.
This one's by Thomas Wilson. What units from the lore would you like to see on the tabletop? Any faction? Anything at all?
Where's Daka?
You did see him. But you want to see, like, what he can do now.
No, like, I didn't see, he wasn't on the tabletop. Because he's saying...
Oh, yeah, that's right. He had rules, but he didn't have an actual model, right?
Yep. Which was lame.
Yeah. I want to see Commander Puretide. Dude has so much, like, lore. And, like, yeah, he was, like, an old school, like, sensei type guy. But to see what he could actually do. And even if it's, like, a robotic body, but he has a Puretide engram neurochip into him, to see what he could do with that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or Shaso Kais, because there are 3 pupils to him, and we've got Shadowsun and Farsight. We're just missing that one, which I think he was the one in the Dawn of War games, right?
I can't remember. I thought it was an ethereal that you played.
I think there was also an ethereal, but then he was the Tau commander.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
This question comes from Runner. Is that the same blue shirt 2 videos in a row? So we record these videos all at once. So we sit here for like about an hour, more than an hour, just talking, which is why I'm tired. Like, the third video is always the one where I'm like, I'm falling asleep.
Mm-hmm. You're doing that SpongeBob pose where he's naked by the barnacles. He's just like,
yeah. Isn't it weird? Because, like, the older we get, the sleepier, or the easier it is to just sleep anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, if I'm still, I will fall asleep. Yeah. I talked about this in a previous video where, like, sometimes I'm driving, and if the road is, like, just the highway road straight, kind of like 88, like, oof, I will go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. 8D8.
8E8. Going towards Rockford. Next question.
This one is by The Big One. Do you think I'm cute enough to win second place in a beauty contest? Come on now. I'm just a kid.
I've never really met, or I've never actually seen a kid that's not cute, I guess. Like, in your mind, you're supposed to like things with big eyes.
Rounded cheeks.
Yeah, things like that. So
that's why babies are like that.
Yeah.
Because you're meant to preserve the species of the human race. So obviously, if you think, oh, that kid's ugly, that baby's ugly,
Yeah.
that's counterproductive to keeping the species alive.
Yeah. So unless the baby has some type of deformity, I don't think that.
I mean, look at the Spartans, what they used to do.
Oh yeah, used to
Oh.
inspect the baby.
Yeah.
Throw.
Now it's Dua Lipa and the baby.
And the baby.
And the baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Talk to you tomorrow.
As always, this is the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation. I knew I never had that much to lose.